the most socially responsible thing you could do is make sure your employees have a job tomorrow and treat them well, whatever that takes.
You're listening to Financial Grown-Up with me, certified financial planner, Bobbi Rebell, author of How to Be a Financial Grown-Up. And you know what? Being a grown-up is really hard, especially when it comes to money. But it's okay. We're going to get there together. I'm going to bring you one money story from a financial grown-up, one lesson, and then my take on how you can make it your own. We got this. Wise words from this episode's Financial Grown-Up. She is JJ Ramberg, host of Your Business on MSNBC. JJ has been talking to small business entrepreneurs for more than a dozen years. JJ also hosts the Been There, Built That podcast, and she has a few pretty significant side hustles that she herself has been building, including a fantastic plugin app called Goodshop and a young adult book project with her sister that she will tell us about. Here is JJ Ramberg. JJ Ramberg, welcome. You are a financial grown-up. Great to have you.
So happy to talk to you, Bobbi.
And you have your own new podcast and a new book to talk about. Tell us more.
I do. There's a lot going on. We recently, a few months ago, launched our podcast, Been There, Built That. And basically, I've had this show on MSNBC for 12 years called Your Business.
Longest running show, right? Is that the longest running show on business?
It's the second longest running show after Matthews, after Hardball.
Okay.
I know.
But that's the longest business show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. I think it's the second longest running female anchor.
Awesome.
Maybe first female. I don't know. Anyhow.
Let's just go with first. Let someone still correct us, right?
Exactly. So I've had this show on MSNBC for 12 years about growing businesses, and we just launched the podcast because, on this show I get 3 minutes to talk to people, and I always get to talk to them much longer in the green room and at coffee. And so the podcast is my chance to now get those conversations out to our audience too.
And you also have the Startup Club.
The Startup Club was my side passion project that I did with my sister. And it's a fiction book for kids about kids who start businesses. So it's a typical book for grade school kids, like two best friends start a business, the mean girl in school copies them, they get in a fight, the brother gets involved, all this stuff. But through it, they learn what's the difference between profit and revenue and what is marketing and all kinds of business things, which tap into kids' general interests at this age anyhow. Kids
are curious. My son is very curious. I have a 10-and-a-half-year-old, and he is very curious about business. So I am definitely going to check that out with him. You also, speaking of kids, when you were a kid, you loved ice cream. And it was memories of Ben and Jerry's that inspired your money story that you're going to share with us.
It was. So when I was growing up, I was really taken by the idea of socially responsible businesses. And in those days, it was Ben and Jerry's, right? All the good that they were doing, and the Body Shop when it first started, and Patagonia, right?
Yes.
And so I thought, when I am older, even just as a kid, I thought I want to do something that is business, because I come from a family of business owners, and incorporates doing good. And so, cut ahead many, 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 many years. And my brother and I came up with this idea called Goodshop, which was, we partnered with thousands of stores, and you'd shop just like you normally would. We'd get you all the best coupons and deals for those stores, but you can select your favorite cause no matter what it was, and a percentage of what you spend goes back to that cause.
That's awesome. And now there are extensions now.
Yep. Now we have the gumdrop extension. So you don't even have to worry about putting the coupon in or choosing your cause every time. If you just go to getgumdrop.com and add the extension, it automatically puts the best coupon in at checkout. And if you select a cause, a percentage of what you spend will go back to that cause. So we've raised nearly $13 million for causes so far.
Amazing. Amazing. So what is your lesson for wannabe entrepreneurs who also want to be doing good? How do you actually execute this? Because this is an 11-year overnight success.
12.
Yes. 12. Oh my gosh, 12.
Yeah. It's interesting. I get this question a lot from people, as you can imagine, because of the show. I meet so many founders and people who want to start companies. And because my company is socially responsible, I get the question. My thought is Goodshop was born originally on this premise of let's give away our revenue when people choose causes. It was baked into what we were doing. That's why we launched it in the beginning. But not every company is like that, and not every company needs to be. And you got to think of social responsibility not just about giving money away. It can be about treating your employees really well. I mean, the best thing, I think, the most socially responsible thing you could do is make sure your employees have a job tomorrow and treat them well, whatever that takes. And so, yes, if you can take time off to volunteer or if you can donate part of your profit, that's fantastic. But I don't think you need to feel the great pressure of that right when you're starting up if you don't have time.
I feel like there is pressure for people to say, oh, I'm giving this percentage to charity. But in fact, by employing people, you are helping.
Yeah. And look, when you're starting out, I mean, you know this, you don't necessarily have money to spare to give away, right? That money needs to go back into building your business.
Solvency is important.
And so you just have to think about what makes sense for your company at this particular time. And look, it's changeable. As you grow, things can change. But I think just treating people well and keeping your doors open, you can think of that as socially responsible.
Give me a money tip, something that you and your family do that our listeners can implement right now.
I have recently started categorizing all of what I spend, which I think is so fun. I know some people think that is so horrifying.
Fun. That's not fun.
I know. It's so funny. It like to most people that just sounds awful. To me, I take such great pleasure in seeing exactly where my money is going. So my money tip is, if it all sounds fun to you, go ahead and do it also. There are all kinds of systems online.
Are you using an app?
I use a proprietary one, but there are lots of them out there that will help you do this.
All right. Thank you, JJ.
So good to talk to you, Bobby.
Here is my take on what JJ had to say, and it has a lot to do with her refreshing and realistic take on business and being socially responsible while you build a business. Financial grown-up tip number 1, as JJ says so well, when starting a venture, don't get caught up in making sure that you give, for example, a certain percentage of profits to charity or give employees days off to volunteer. If it works for your business plan, that's great. But the truth is, if your business provides a service that is helpful to your clients, providing value for them, and also can provide a solid and stable job for your employees to support their families, that is good too. A solvent, profitable business should be your priority. Financial grown-up tip number 2, from the consumer perspective, for things that you are already buying, see if there's a way that you can buy things that you're already buying and have a percentage of what you are already paying go to a cause that you care about. So for example, you can start with Goodshop's new gumdrop extension. You could also, for example, shop with retailers that donate a percentage to charity, like Amazon Smile, which has the same products as Amazon, but donates 0.5% of your purchase to the charity of your choice. Also, keep an eye out for themed promotions at places you already shop, where they will give a certain percentage to charity for that time period. Separately, you can go directly to charities and even schools and ask if they have any partnerships with retailers. Very often, you can put a code in and, for example, enter through a website portal with retailers, and then that organization will get a cut of what you spend. I also like to shop at school auctions where I can buy things that I probably would have bought anyway, and you can support the school or the cause. The website I use for that is called Bidding for Good. You can bid on items for any school or organization there. You don't have to be affiliated with that organization or school. I've bought everything from kids classes to theater tickets, even a yoga mat, all through Bidding for Good, often at lower than retail prices, in fact. So even though you're bidding, it's not always a higher price. Sometimes you actually get a good deal for yourself. And of course, the money goes to the school or the organization. So it's all good. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Financial Grown Up Podcast. If you like the show and want to hear more, please help support us by subscribing and then rating or reviewing on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. That is the way more people can hear about us. Also, please share on social media or just tell a friend. I hope you enjoyed hearing JJ's story and advice, and that we all got one step closer to being financial grown-ups. Financial Grown Up with Bobbi Rebell is edited and produced by Steve Stewart and is a BRK Media production.